All right, we're still putting the Twin season to bed. We've got the Viking. I don't know, if you want to say the Viking season's on the line again, I don't know if I thought it was last week, but we can talk about that. It's Reusse Unchained here. Pat, tell the audience about your favorite car dealership though before we dive in.
The Valley Auto Group is fantastic. I've bought at least my last five new cars from them, and also a couple of used cars, one for me, a couple for the family type members, and I've always done very well. The Valley Group, owned by Brett Paul and Jim Paul, and it's located in Apple Valley, right at the end of Cedar Avenue, as you get off the four-laner there, and it's convenient. And then Hastings, there's a shop in Hastings too. Great vehicles. Those new Buick SUVs look pretty good to me. I've never owned an SUV, but I might have to do that next
Yeah.
time. As I've said, my convertible, which I really enjoy, I got to give that to my granddaughter in a year or so. So it's going to be time to buy a new car. She's already said she wants it. So what are you going to do? Yeah, Jim Paul's Valley Group, they're real people, and they take good care of you, and they still have a good supply of vehicles out there. So go check them out.
Yes.
Apple Valley and Hastings, and I'm telling you this from experience. I'm not just reading an ad, because I have bought a lot of cars out there and have never had a complaint about how I was treated, or what the price was, or what kind of a deal they give you on a trade-in. They just take care of you. It's really good. Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Valley Group of car dealers in
Awesome.
Hastings and Apple Valley, GMC
Yes.
products.
Unfortunately, we won't see any of those cars in a World Series parade this year, at least not for the Twins. We got our final four teams. The top five teams have all been eliminated record-wise. We got an all-Texas ALCS. It's very interesting. What can the Twins learn from the teams that are still alive? Just be more clutch with your bats, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. But here's what I was thinking last night. It's probably not going to be as wide open again as it was this time. The Yankees aren't going to be bad. Again, the Yankees aren't going to be no-shows in the future, and we haven't had much luck with them. Now Houston's an absolute powerhouse, but I don't think this Houston club is the same powerhouse that it's been to go to 7 straight ALCSs. I think right now that Houston being in the Final Four, being in the American League Championship Series, is kind of a tribute to the fact that the league was not brilliant at top. When a team like the Orioles can pop up and win more games than anybody else with the flaws that they had, even when they had Bautista, the chance was there. Once you start looking at all the shortage of pitching, everybody had 2 starters. That was it. It wasn't like, oh man, we got to face these 3 guys. And I think it's, the more I think about it, it was a lost opportunity here, the fact that you couldn't get any hits. And now the Twins are actually really flawed. When your saviors for your hitting is you got to break out Donovan Solano and Willie Castro, and hope these 2 guys who were basically cast off, and they played well for the Twins, but to have, we got to put those guys in the lineup because the guys we were counting on can't get any hits. That's a problem. And but the Twins were not overmatched. Certainly, they probably had the deepest pitching staff in the American League playoffs, and they still didn't get it done. I think Sonny giving up that, Kirilloff kicking that ball, and Sonny giving up that home run, and all of a sudden you're 4 down right off the bat. That changed the whole vibe of the postseason for the Twins. But the possibility was there, don't you think?
To win it?
Yeah. To get to to slip into the World Series, because there's not Texas, they can hit, man. There's no doubt about it, but their pitching is really thin. So the chance in Baltimore, when your number one seed is, you're never going to have a team as flawed as Baltimore be the number one seed again. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pat, do you think that what has just taken place in these best 3 of 5, do you think that there's a chance that they would try to find a way, and again, this might be going down to 154 or going back to 154 regular season games to try to get best of 7 in the division series? Because my question is this: does baseball like this because it is fun? Or does baseball say what you said, which is, oh my God, we just basically had our top teams knocked off in a best 3 of 5?
I think I'm going to try to write something on that. I think the idea that baseball should be embarrassed that it's had upsets when everybody else, every other league is allowed to celebrate upsets, and the NBA never has any, and that's our criticism of them. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If as I said, if you feel it's a disadvantage not playing in the first round, so you're not sharp, then go ahead and petition the league to play a first round series instead of somebody else and see what they say. Hey, you Baltimore.
We like to swap places with the Blue Jays.
You can swap with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays can take you can give that number one seed to the team that finished behind you, so you can play that first round series. Okay, yeah, you got that option. Be ready. You know what? Keep your minor league team, your AAA team together, and bring them in and play 2 games that week at your own ballpark while the other teams are playing. Do something. Don't just take batting practice in the cage and then not feel you're as sharp as you were. Bring in the all-star team from your minor leagues. Your minor leagues are shut down, and have 2 scrimmages. Have 2 games that are play them as though they're real games and facing good pitching and the whole thing. So I don't feel sorry for them, but it's going to be a huge controversy. Mm-hmm. One reason being, baseball, I've said it all along, is held to a different standard than all the other sports. Like the Twins are probably going to cut payroll some because they're losing $40 million with the BSN deal, and they aren't going to get anywhere near that back. And people are going to say cheap pull ads, right? They should spend their own money for baseball. Is anybody asking the Zig Monster to spend his own money for the Vikings? He certainly spends to the cap, but he also puts $250 million a year in his pocket, and whatever he paid for the team, that's taken out of operating expenses. So I'm saying that baseball is held to a different standard. And these upsets, I don't think they'll go to best of 7 in the division series. I think you're getting to the point where your pitchers, you're running these pitchers to the absolute limit. I mean, how many more starts can you give a pitcher that pitched 190 innings for you in the modern baseball? I know, they used to pitch 230 or 300 or something, but they don't anymore. And they don't, listen, except for Nolan Ryan, nobody pitched 300 innings throwing 100 like they do right now. You watch these guys pitch, the human arm was not made for this to go 200 innings a year. So I don't think you can add any more games for the burden you put on pitching.
But and I agree with everything you just said, but from a product standpoint, it does feel a little bit like hockey in some ways, where you've got your regular season product and it's fine, and fans show up or whatever, but then the energy and the excitement, it's a blast. It's like having more of this in the Twin Cities and in other markets is fun and generates revenue and I don't know, like obviously if you took regular season games away, you're taking gate money away. Could you make up for it with more TV money nationally? But then you bring up some good points about the logistics of pitchers' arms and things like that. But I don't know. It's how do we get more of that?
Baseball is our only sport that's limited by the seasons, and they've already pushed it. Baseball is the only sport
Right.
that can't say, what the hell, we're playing till December. You can't, unless you're going to say we're going to go play on neutral sites through the month of November, which takes away the whole idea of teams coming home and having people wave hankies and stand up and get interested in 40,000. So baseball is, that's another problem they have. I've said, the games, the last two games here, if you made the World Series, could have been November 3rd and 4th if Arizona would make that. Yeah, okay, let's go get them, boys. It might be 17 degrees and we might have an ice storm, but hell, it'll be a heck of a lot. And plus, we got to play that game at 7:08 because TV wants it to. So.
Yeah.
Pat, Judd was at the Wild game last night, and they had these towels where you pulled a little plug. I think Judd might have it with them, and they lit up, like the entire outline of the towel, like lit up in green. But then Judd
That's probably another thing you can't do in baseball, to have that towel like that. If you got to get left fielder and people are waving towels with the light, it might be a little, I can't see the ball, but hey, the fans are having a good time waving their towels.
So then Judd had the idea of, should we just get rid of towels and hankies at all sporting events? Should we just ban them? Should we get rid of them? Have they lost their luster?
I don't think they've lost their luster because people love to do it.
What do you mean lost their luster? You had 40,000 people waving red flags for 3 hours.
I said the Twins should find something different because they no longer work. The magic is gone.
Well, you know why? Why? Because they're not white.
Well, and they can't be.
Think about the advantage in 1990. In 87 and 91, when you have a white roof and everyone with a white flag waving around, right? Of course, Jack Morris went 10 nearly perfect innings.
Yes, they lost the luster to me about 2 days into the 1987 postseason, so now they light up. Though.
There you go, Reusse.
Where does the light go? Where does the light go?
This feels like a safety hazard. Someone's going to get electrocuted.
So they were red and green, and they dimmed at the beginning of the game. They dimmed the lights as the teams came out, and everyone waved them. And so you had this spectacular array of flashing lights, to which I have only one question. Can't that trigger a seizure?
Yes, they can. All the white, we send out cautions and all other things about people that are, not, are sensitive to light, and we can't, but not in sports, I guess. You just, Pat, nobody stands it. They give you that seat for a reason. Sit down, watch the game. When there's 2 strikes, 2 outs and 2 strikes, go ahead and get up and wave your hanky. The rest of the time, I'm sitting behind you. Did you see who was at the game last night? Joel Embiid. And did you see the guy behind him? How would you like to be the guy with the seat behind Joel Embiid? The guy was the guy came up to his ass. And he was sitting behind him.
Yeah.
That sounds like a curb with Larry behind the basketball player.
Yeah, that's Larry with that seat.
Excuse me, can you sit down?
Joel Embiid was there. That's another big thing is convincing athletes from other teams to show up at these postseason baseball games, and then they can show them on the. Yes. What's become the most popular thing at Target Field is the lookalike deals, where they people. And I gotta admit, I watch it.
It's great. How do they do that, by the way? So they must find people, in the inning or two beforehand, and then match to a celebrity.
Yes, they want to show. They find people. In fact, boy, I hate to admit that I do this, but they did have one of their matches. And the guy that they were going to match him with had left his seat to go get a beer, so they couldn't show him on it. But I was watching it, and I realized I was watching it, and I really felt ashamed of myself, but I was watching it.
You know what? It beats Kiss Cam. Kiss Cam's basically disappeared. It's the greatest thing among, again, the very few things that came from the pandemic that I applaud. The disappearance of Kiss Cam is one of them.
The proposal cam is worse because these poor women, these poor women who have 2 dates with this dweeb the only reason they went out with him is because he was going to take him to the ball game, and all of a sudden they pop out with a ring, and you're pretty much have to, you can't get up and leave and said, I would never marry a jerk like you and leave. You can't do that on Kiss Cam. So it's really, I think, led to a lot of unhappy marriages.
Listen though, the Twins used to get like $100 a pop for those things, and they did them for almost every home game. And now that they're losing the Bally's TV money, we might see about 6 of these every night at Target Field next year.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Hey, but can I ask you real quick? I saw this. Speaking of I thought of this when we were talking about the Homer Hankies and waving stuff, right? I read something last week, and maybe I just never knew this, but Don Larson's perfect game in 1956 at Yankee Stadium against the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yep.
That they to sell extra tickets, that they removed the batter's eye for that game at Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
have you ever heard this?
That. I've never heard that. Really.
And there's a couple pictures that have surfaced, and I'm sure this has been brought up before.
Nobody could see the ball. Huh?
So the Yankees scored 2 runs and scratched across 5 hits, and the Dodgers obviously did nothing. It was a perfect game. But if you look, there's some pictures of they got rid of the batter's eye in center field, and it's just fans sitting in center field. And I don't know. I didn't know if you heard that in your life covering baseball.
No, I not. But I remember the game well. I rode my bike home around a lake to watch a few innings of the World Series during the hour lunch we had at St. Gabe's. And then, and the bike ride was only like 6-7 minutes. And I watched it, and I got there, and I came back late. And I said, what, Patrick, where have you been? And I said, Don Larson pitched a perfect game. I can't come home. I got there about the 4th inning and then had to watch the rest of the game. But if you look up the game time, I think it's about 2:02 or something like that too. Yeah. But an unlikely fella to pitch the perfect game. But I did not see that batter's eye thing. Talk about dangerous. That's not
genius.
Good.
It's genius. I think the Twins complained about those leaves are a little too textured back there.
Those leaves are the juniper bushes haven't done them a lot better in the postseason, have they? Than the trees did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So our Wild, is this what we can expect? Just hope the goalie stands on his head. No offense whatsoever. Just a.
What do you mean they scored 2 goals? I mean, come on. What more can you want?
Faber got one.
Jacques would have loved that game.
We had. I looked at the shots late in the 3rd period, and it was 36-23 at that point. Did it end up about the same?
It was 41-21.
41-21. Okay,
yep, so he stopped 41 shots.
Well, my prediction that Gustafson would be a sieve this year did not. It hasn't started off that way, but there's a lot more games. But he was the first star, I would guess, huh?
Oh yes, yeah. He was he should have been the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And if there was a 4th, he should have gotten that too. Although the Brock Faber goal was a thing of beauty, Patrick, a long wrist shot, not often seen now. That got through, screen, and it got through, and it was a nice wrist shot. That kid, I'm telling you right now, that kid is good. That's gonna that Fiala trade's gonna turn out to be a very good trade for the Wild.
Yeah, he's Mochko could not say enough about him as far as not only a warrior type competitor and a talented kid, but I think he said he was. They had. I think Leopold as a captain at one time when he was an assistant coach, and he was talking about him as a captain. Where in hockey, I think hockey has more reverence toward captains than any other sport. So it means something. But he was a leader type, So hey, they're off to a flying start. There's go over there, hope they get about 7-8 shots and win a period and win some games. That's right. They basically told us in the preseason, everything I read is we're boring, and that's the way we want to play. Right.
Mm-hmm. Back to the old days. Let's do it.
That's the slogan.
Yeah.
We're boring.
How'd the new Russian look? How'd the new revived Kaprizov look? Did he have was he outstanding or
He was
kind of
fine.
bored?
His line mates, I mean, they re-signed Zuccarello and Hartman, to which I don't agree with, and they're kind of passengers in this game. Zuccarello with his classic happy pass first, pass second, pass third attitude, and Hartman, God love him, he does not belong playing in the middle of those two.
But Marco
Well-
Rossi looked good, Pat.
Yep.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Get ready for the calls for him to be moved up
Okay.
line wise. Yep, and they'll
He's,
be coming from Score North, by the way.
He's gotten over his various diseases and is starting
Maladies.
to reach his potential. Huh?
He's gotten way bigger. I think he put on like 10 to 15 pounds,
Yeah.
and it's
He's a bigger
noticeable.
Maybe they will squeeze into the playoffs as a 7 seed and take it to 6 games
yeah.
before they get beat this in the first round. That'll be good.
They can get into the playoffs. I don't think they can win a round still. Unfortunately.
It's a little early though. Somebody last night was taunting you on
Happens all the time.
looking up bringing back a Rocco should be fired thing from July.
Oh, I got taunted on that. I got taunted on my Chris Paddock take before the playoffs
The
started.
latest
I got,
one is
Look.
actually we should run the Brooks Lee one by Pat. Judd is
What?
looking for solutions, and
Oh.
people got on Judd. We gave our in fairness, we gave our
Hottest
hottest
take.
Twins takes yesterday,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Well, that's ridiculous." Like, well, they are our hottest Twins takes, so yeah.
Yes, right.
And Judd suggested, how about Brooks Lee playing in the outfield? Maybe
Center
Brooks
field.
Lee strapping on a center fielder's glove and running around.
They're mad about that. Yeah.
He's not
Well,
that fast though. Like he's
I-
not like a speedster.
I,
That's the only
I
thing.
also said that Byron Buxton should retire
Okay.
because it's just not going to
They're
work
hot
out.
takes. They're hot takes.
Yeah, well, they are hot takes. What the heck? And my
Anyway,
hot
so-
take is as I said yesterday, put Jorge at
Yeah.
first base, and
That's
know
good.
Brooks Lee probably won't start the season on the roster next year. The Twins will probably pull the call him up in the middle of the season thing. So
Yeah.
unless they're really feeling desperate, and so I think the guy they're going to move to center field though is the kid who is Austin Martin, because he can run, and he doesn't have any power unfortunately, but he's supposed to be a hell of an athlete, can steal a base. So I would guess that's the guy they're going to move to center field.
Yeah.
Because they do have an abundance of middle infielders. Infielders, that's for sure.
What if they made Julian a first baseman? And he practiced all off season. He gets on. I don't think his bat plays better than you would think at first base because he gets on base. He'll hit you 15, 20
Oh
homers.
yeah, I think so. That was the other possibility. The other possibility is I think they're going to try to move Jorge, but I don't think they're going to get nearly what they feel like they should get. So,
Yeah.
all those guys with 1 year left on their contract are not. I think Jorge, they got a double. They got 2 options on him, but I don't know. There's gonna be something done. You think Kepler might get traded?
I do. Yes. I don't
Yeah,
think they. I don't think they
They got it.
love him organizationally, but
They-
I think the manager would be okay with.
Yeah, Falvey
Kepler.
was the one who liked him apparently, and but they got a lot of left-handed hitting outfielders. So
Yeah.
boy, I was looking though, fellas. Their one left-handed pitching prospect had his second Tommy John at Prelip, and they don't have any left-handed pitchers. There's none in the top 80 prospects. There's no left-handed pitching. They're gonna have to get some left-handed pitching.
Yep.
So-
So well, Pat, we got to run. Give us real quick. Who wins, Bears or Vikings?
Bears by 10.
Ooh.
Bears. By the way, boy, are the Chiefs bored. They're
Yeah.
they are bored. And how come Taylor Swift shows up everywhere but here? Why does Taylor Swift not like Minnesota? 130,000 people showed up for 2 nights, and she was there last night, right? Wasn't she?
She was
In
there
Kansas
last night.
City?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she was.
she doesn't show up here. I don't get it. If you're a Swiftie in this town, drop her. She doesn't like your town. Drop her. That's my advice.
There it is. All right, Reusse Unchained. There you go on this Friday. We'll see you again Monday Pat.
All right, Jets.
All right,
Thanks,
there
Pat.
he is. Patrick Reusse Unchained. See you guys.